Hey guys, this is Kamiguno, and today I'm doing the top 10 most anticipated comics of September. So let's jump in. Number 10 for me is Summer Shadows, issue 1. This is a queer book about vampires and this guy on these Greek islands as he's dealing with a massive breakup. I like the genre bending, but also I feel like we don't get enough queer non-romance stories, so I think that's going to be pretty fun. So that's number 10 for me. Moving on to number 9, which is the Tin Can Society, issue 1. This is part of Rick Remender's imprint. We get to see these friends come together for a mystery, but also I feel like there's a lot of elements that we, again, don't get to see a lot of comics explore, like disabilities through the eyes of tech. So I thought there's a lot of different things that this comic is tackling that I feel like could make a really, really solid book. So that is number 9 for me. Moving on to number 8, which is Dark Empty Void. This is by Zach Kaplan, who honestly has just never disappointed me, even with genres I never expected I would enjoy. The sci-fi genre, I'm usually not a big sci-fi person, but I already like the idea of these exes that have to work together as this girl ends up getting this connection to this black hole. So I'm like, all right, there's already a really character-centric story in this sci-fi piece. So that is number 8 for me. Moving on to number 7, which is Plastic Man No More. So it's the Spider-Man No More story with Plastic Man. And this is a Black Label book by Chris Cantwell. I've enjoyed Chris Cantwell's writing from Marvel. I want to see what he's going to end up doing with DC. Also, I like that the Black Label is exploring more heroes other than Batman and Superman, especially heroes that don't really get that many titles, like Plastic Man. When's the last time Plastic Man got his own title? So I want to learn more about the character. I don't know much about him besides the bare minimum, so I think this is a great opportunity to do so. So that's number 7 for me. Moving on to number 6, which is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers meets Usagi. I don't know anything about Usagi. I've actually never read a Usagi comic, but I love Ryan Parrott's writing, especially his Power Rangers writing. I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series, and I also know the bare minimum about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm glad to and excited to hopefully learn more about another franchise through the lens of Power Rangers. I think that's the power of Power Rangers. So that's number 6 for me. Moving on to number 5, which is Duck and Cover issue 1. This is a Raphael Albuquerque and Scott Snyder series. If you guys don't know, American Vampire is one of my favorite titles of all time. So to see them returning for a historical piece, a post-apocalyptic historical piece, I am all in for this and hope it's just as great as American Vampire. So that is number 5 for me. Moving on to number 4, which is Dead Eyes, The Empty Frames, issue 1. This is a continuation of Dead Eyes, a book that when it was released, I was glued to. I love the vigilante angle of it. I loved how raw it was and how character-driven it was. It's been a while since I've read it, so I'm curious to see if this new volume is going to pick up where it was and kind of remind us where that series was. But I remember loving that series. It was always in my top 5, so I am very excited to pick up volume 2. Moving on to number 3, which is The Moon is Following Us, issue 1. This is a family dynamic book by Daniel Warren Johnson. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to read to know I'm going to be picking this up, and I'm very excited for it. I loved his independent books, and he even got me into Transformers, so if he could do that and get me into a wrestling book, he could really do anything. So I'm very excited, kind of going blind into this title. Moving on to number 2. If you guys have been a fan of this channel for a long time, you probably know I'm very excited for these next 2 books. And number 2 is Dazzler issue 1. Who could believe Dazzler issue 1's my number 2? So what could be my number 1? This is a mini-series about Dazzler. I love this character, and most of the time I love her when she's not part of the X-Men, when she's just doing her music thing and say, hey, I'm a mutant. I want to have a life outside being an X-Men, even though I'm proud of being a mutant. I think that makes her story even more interesting than when she's teaming up with the X-Men. So I'm hoping this miniseries does that and focuses on the music elements of the character. Moving on to number 1, which is Exceptional X-Men issue 1, Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost teaming up, trying to make these new mutants learn and get to learn for us about these new mutants that are joining their team. I love their dynamic. I love Kitty Pryde. Of course, I'm so stoked for this book. This probably would be my number 1 in any month, if I'm being honest. So that is my top 10. Let me know in the comments below what are the books you're most excited for the month. This is Kamiguno, and I'll see you guys in the next one.